Hey guys, what is going on? Kevin Cage back with another cryptocurrency video. Hope all is well this evening. Today is May 28th, where I'm at in the United States. So I'm going to be going over a few points and big things that happened in the month of May, going over some details that I think were missed in some videos, and just for people to kind of come here for an all-in-one stop. And before we get started, be sure to hit that like button if you like what you see and subscribe if you haven't already. I do want to cover this briefly. This has been pretty controversial. Awake at Mr. Level Up on Twitter has been saying that he's learned the algorithm that XRP moves in, and he's made some pretty bold predictions. Super positive guy, well-spoken, and I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. He's, extremely positive, and again, guys, this is not financial advice. Please, please, please make your own decisions and do your own research. Do not invest based off what anyone says on YouTube or on Twitter. But I am simply just watching. I'm not buying more because of what he said. I'm not selling. I'm just holding, and I want to see his predictions. So he says that we're going to be seeing, according to the algorithm, the pattern, that we're going to see a big drop off again, maybe to 38 cents, 36 cents, maybe even just down to 40. And what he's saying is, and then it'll start to grow. So he says he's waiting for it to happen within the next 24 hours, but should be any of the next candles coming shortly. And he believes that we'll be rewarded at any moment for the activity to turn up after that drop. He's waiting for that first fall, and we can start talking about the next moves. Until then, he has nothing to share at the moment. So I'm rooting for him. I would love to see a price jump. If not, that is fine with me. We are waiting for utility to kick this in. So I just think it's difficult to try to make a call on an algorithm, but maybe there is a pattern that does exist, and maybe it exists with or without utility. So I have an open mind, and I'm not going to belittle someone or talk bad about someone online like a lot of trolls have been. So if he's wrong, oh well. But if he's right, that is huge, and congratulations. So hoping for the best. But right here with this XRP community blog by yours truly, Hodor, definite follow, probably one of the best writers in the XRP community for great summaries. I want to go over a few points here. So Ripple news. On May 20th, Ripple's VP of Strategic Accounts was elected to a new payment industry organization formed to advance the development of the U.S. payments infrastructure, called the U.S. Faster Payments Council, FPC. Right here, the FPC is an industry group, and they've stated that part of their mission on their official website. Do you want a hand in shaping the future of the nation's payment system? The U.S. Faster Payments Council is a new membership organization established so Americans can safely and securely pay anyone, anywhere, at any time, and with near immediate funds availability. Pretty intense. We're finally sharing money the same way we share data today, instantaneously. FPC members use private sector approaches to address issues that inhibit adoption of faster payments and enable end users to reach each other in ways as seamless and transparent to them as mobile texting. True IOV, the Internet of Value, is coming. Next part I want to cover. In this Recode podcast, the CEO of Ripple, Brad Garlinghouse, BG, had a presentation with the appearance on a popular podcast with Kara Swisher, and she just covers various topics in Silicon Valley, and he has some great quotes, and it's just an hour-long podcast, and Hodor actually was able to just get some of his favorite quotes, and I do want to cover them. I know we've heard these, but we need this reminder in this bear market, and in my opinion, I don't care, I'm not a huge TA guy, but I'm considering it a bear market until we're seeing constant growth, none of these little retracements, and we have some strong volume, just like 2017. So that's what I'm considering. I'm very, very picky. Right here, Brad Garlinghouse. A culture that encourages risks and tolerates failure is, I think, a culture that will yield innovation. Bitcoin alone represents almost 1% of global power consumption. I'm sorry, guys, for those of you that want Bitcoin to be, become the standard or, worth $1 million per token, I personally don't. I think that we're consuming enough power in the world today. And I think that there's a lot of other altcoins that can do the trick and be a lot more efficient as well. Along with, efficiency, scalability, speed, you name it. There's just a lot more utility. And I don't think it'll damage the environment to the same degree. Right here, the population that is currently paying the cross-border remittance costs, India, Southeast Asia, are the ones that can least afford it. We are trying to aim to help this multi-trillion-dollar problem, to help banks, of course, but it's going to be helping people in these, the Mexican corridors and the Philippines actually make payments to their families. And again, we want to emphasize, we want to change the system by working with the system. It's not a battle. We're not trying to take over. We're trying to integrate ourselves to improve the existing legacy systems today. And what I'm saying is it might not be overnight, but this is going to happen. We're working with regulators. All right, right here, last few quotes, and these are very good. So on the topic of technology adoption, here we go. First, from some of the top banks, there's a small number of oligopoly of what we call money center banks. They are the global banks that make money. So Citibank made about $8 billion last year from other banks. Wells Fargo is not considered a Tier 1 money center bank. So it turns out 90% of banks love what we're doing because we're democratizing something that's controlled by a small number of banks, their competitors. So it's making a level playing field, keyword, level playing field. Because they have the most equity, they've pre-funded around the world. Citi, Deutsche Bank, JP Morgan, of course, who does not like cryptocurrency, Jamie Dimon. Now, these are the big kind of money center banks that other banks use, and that would be, hitting their profits for the most part. But you can argue that it's going to be saving them tons of money by freeing this dormant capital. So there's a win-win for everybody, and some people just don't want to change. Right here, Coil news. So as we know, of course, Coil. So AWS, Amazon Web Services, was sponsoring different events throughout the areas, and there were all kinds of AWS stakeholders that could meet up and discuss different applications with industry experts. And the cool thing was we had Stephen Thomas, the CEO of Coil, of course. He used to be Ripple CTO. And then we actually have the CEO of Omni, Thomas McLeod. And they've both constructed businesses that run on XRP in very unique ways. We already know that Coil settles its micropayments to content providers, and Omni, I know a lot of you already know, it makes payments to their renters. So it's really, renting out your assets and receiving payment in XRP, just another applicable use. And I just find it really interesting. So they're just talking about using blockchain for payments, and honestly just had the stage and had a great conversation. So the video's right here if you want to check that out. And there was something I wanted to cover. So right here, so they go again, and I believe Stephen Thomas, the former CTO of Ripple, is actually talking about this. And let's see, so he goes right here. He also touched on why it's important for him to help out with Mojaloop, which is the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation platform for mobile payments that was built to help include currently unbanked populations of the world in the global economic infrastructure. So Stephen Thomas goes on to say, I get a lot of questions as to why we are involved in this project. Mojaloop is a project to improve financial access in poorer countries. It basically makes it possible for everyone to have access to digital financial services. And the reason that's important is because it's very expensive to use cash, and you don't really think about that. But you have the risk of getting mugged. You have the risk that someone will take it from you. You have the risk that you lose it, especially in these poorer countries where people have to fight to even find water. So digital financial services, by removing a lot of friction to give you access to a lot of benefits, and then of course anything that's online. You can't use cash. So you need digital financial services to invest or participate in online commerce. And as we know, e-commerce is growing and growing and growing, hence the stock price of Amazon the past 20 years. And so one of the big things holding that back today is a lack of interoperability. So this is probably the biggest keyword you'll hear in the industry when it comes to blockchain, DLT, distributed ledger technology, essentially just large databases with public ledgers that can record transactions and are immutable and public. And by creating interoperability, you create a certain competition and you open up the market, reduce costs for merchants who no longer have to have multiple phones to support the multiple different payment options. And that's where the basic idea of Mojaloop comes from. Very, very cool. Next up, I already covered that. And right here, I covered this in a previous video, but there's just a little more to share with Kava News, with Kava Labs. So they have the switch, lightning fast, non-custodial crypto trading for a lot of the top cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP. So the service is called Switch, and Kava is describing it as a non-custodial since users do not send them the actual cryptocurrency. The entire platform essentially is just an easy way to use Interledger to stream payments from one crypto network to another. So right here, Switch sidesteps the problems of traditional decentralized exchanges, DEXs, by employing a novel solution, streaming micropayments which work by moving little bits of value piece by piece until an entire payment or trade is complete. So it's just many trades until the entire trade is complete itself. So a very cool idea with these micropayments. Streaming micropayments enables lightning fast swaps, interoperability across blockchains, and complete self-custody of assets. So no one else needs to custody those assets, which is great. Load funds onto cards and swap between them and withdraw at your leisure. Only you have access to these funds, even while trading. That's great. I think we're going to see a bunch more evolution and innovation in terms of this, and this is just the beginning. So the Switch by Kava Labs, very cool idea, using the Interledger protocol. And finishing it off here, Pay with XRP. So if you've been on Twitter, there's a new fan account titled, and it's at Pay with XRP. Go give them a follow. And the account represents more than one person and a small team that's been put together where businesses can voluntarily register so that they can accept XRP as payment. Pretty cool. But that's all I have for you guys today. Be sure to hit that like button, comment down below any thoughts that you want me to cover or anything that I may have gotten incorrect. And again, go give Hodor a thanks and shoot him a tip. I don't want anything from you guys, but go give Hodor a tip on Twitter. So again, guys, appreciate your time, and I'll have a next video coming for you guys shortly. Thanks.